Okay. All right. So our subject or our question is Black Lives Matter, right? Mm-hmm. That's the subject and the question. Can Black lives matter? Can they? Is it possible, right? What happens a lot of times within the culture, the created culture, the system that we live in, we're taught things that cause emotional stirs because we're indoctrinated in a way as more as people to where when we attach to information, we attach to it from a spiritual stance also. So by that happening, whenever new information comes, a lot of times we will attack the information as if it can't be true because it causes discomfort. So one of the things that we want to make sure to do, one, is that we want to check our emotions, our feelings in the door. This is about really separating fact from fiction, period. Not what I think, not my opinion. Everything that we do, first, let's do this. Let's first set a basis for what fact is and what fiction is and how we will determine the two. So from your standpoint, what would be needed in order for us to garner something and be able to say it's fact? What kind of documentation would we need if we're talking about historical data? What would be something that backs up historical data from your perspective?
Dictionaries, law.
Okay.
First-hand knowledge.
Okay. So first-hand accounts. Okay.
Carbon dating on objects.
Okay. Okay. And so, anything else? Just how are we going to garner, establish fact from fiction? What do we need? So is that it? So carbon dating, things like that of that nature, first-hand accounts, being able to find and understand definitions in the dictionary and so on and so forth. And so that would be how we today establish fact, fiction, right? Okay, perfect. So then anytime that you see something that doesn't meet that criteria, then it's your job to say it doesn't meet the criteria so that we can discard it. Agreed?
Yeah.
And you have the complete power to say, no, let's discard that. That's not first-hand account. That doesn't meet DNA criteria. That's not found in the dictionary or whatever it may be. Okay? You can do that. And I want you to do that because, again, this is not only about learning it, but being able to apply it and teach someone else. Okay, so we have to be able to take the information and give it to people. Okay? Now, when we say Black Lives Matters, do we know what the word matters means? And black and lives. Because we're forming a sentence, and the sentence structure that we are attempting to form is supposed to get the attention of those who are being petitioned to hear the message from the camp that says Black Lives Matter. And Black Lives Matter is trying to go into a law construct, right? So meaning that they're trying to have those who are in place to make and protect law listen to what they say. So that means that by your very statement, you have to meet the criteria of the words that you're using mean what you say, or what your intention is, let me say. So whatever you're intending to portray, your words must say that, because law is specific. Okay, law is not treated by what you think. Law is very, very specific. So let's look at the definition of matter. Matter, from 12th century, materie, subject of thought, speech, or expression. From Anglo-French, materie, Old French, matière, subject. Theme, topic, substance, content, material, character, education. Modern French, materie, from Latin materia, substance from which something is made, also hard inner wood of a tree. Source of also Portuguese Madeira, wood. From matter, origin, source, mother. See mother. Or another theory, it represents the metria from pi, root dim, dom, source of Latin domus, house, English timber, with since development in Latin influenced by Greek how, of which was equivalent in philosophy, meaning physical substance, generally matter material, is easily 14th century. That of substance of which some specific object is made or consists of is attested from late 14th century. That of piece of business, affair, activity, situation, circumstance is from late 14th century. From mid-14th century as subject of literary work, content of what is written, main theme. Also Middle English as cause, reasons, ground, essential character, field of investigation. Matter of course, something expected, attested from 1739. From that matter attested from 1670s. What is the matter? What concerns someone? The cause of difficulty is attested from mid-15th century. To make no matter, be no difference, also is mid-15th century. To be of importance or consequence, 1580s from matter noun, related mattering matters, events, affairs of particular sort. 1560s from plural of matter, noun. So what does matter mean?
A bunch of stuff. It just depends on the context of the conversation.
Okay,
Now, what dictionary did you get this from?
That's
great question. Etymology on dictionary online. Write that down, and I want you to use that as a primary source for research in words. The etymon of a word means the origin, the mother, the matrix, the beginning. It's the root. And the etymon tells you what the word means. It's the denotation. Okay, do we understand the difference between denotation and connotation?
no.
Okay, so denote means what it is, what it means. Okay, it goes back to the origin. Connote means what you think, the apply. So you have what it is, and you have how you apply it. They do not have to be the same, but how you apply it does not change what it is. Okay? It is what it is. It don't matter your ignorance in application.
Right.
It don't change what it is. You can call a tree an orange as much as you want. But the tree is a tree. You see what I'm saying? It is not an orange. It is a tree. You see what I'm saying? That's the denotation of the object. It's a tree.
Okay, so now, you take that and you apply that going against like the legal ease, all right? How would you deal with that?
Okay, so that's next.
Okay.
That's exactly what we're going to. But I want you to understand that here in the statement, because we've got to find what is being said and transferred in the sentence "Black Lives Matter."
Right.
So what are you saying? Are you saying that Black lives are the subject of thought or speech? Are you saying that it's the expression? Are you saying that it's a physical, Black lives is a physical substance? What exactly are you saying? Are you saying that it's something, you get way down here to the 17th century in a different application where it says, oh, it's something of importance. So are you saying Black lives are something of importance? What are you saying in the Black Lives Matter thing?
Right.
Okay? So when we see that, that's how we have to start breaking those things down, right? What are you saying? Because when you're presenting yourselves to a whole world, the leaders of a world know this. They know exactly what I just presented.
Right.
So when you can't get the attention that you're trying to get in your forums, you see in your discussions and your presentations, you got to know why. Now, this is on the etymological side. Let's look at the law side, like the brother said.
So,
Now, this is from Black's Law Dictionary. Okay? Yes. So,
did you steal this off my shelf?
in the law, okay, matter So Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter, right? This is what you said in law. Substantial facts forming basis of claim or defense. Facts material to issue. Substance as distinguished from form, transaction, event, occurrence, subject matter of controversy. Special proceeding. That's it. Okay, so substantial facts forming basis of claim. Black lives or substantial facts forming basis of claim. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah.
Black lives are facts of material to issue. Are we saying that? No. Okay. Black lives are substance as distinguished from form, transaction, event, occurrence, subject matter of controversy, special proceeding. Is that what we're saying? Is that the intent of the Black Lives Matter campaign?
Yeah, the subject matter of controversy.
Okay, so black lives are the subject matter of controversy. Okay, now we can find somewhere it fits, even though we need to be asking, well, what's the controversy?
Right.
We haven't defined anything. See? So by just, and understand the reason that we're doing this first is what we have to do is we have to learn how to read things and understand why, even if your initial statement does not garner your attention, then the statement is irrelevant in itself.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So it was that difficult to even get to something that's small. You had to go to a connotative meaning in the etymology of the word. You had to get to the 17th century, where it had changed the word several times, lowered it to something of importance. Okay? And then when in the law, you're trying to make it fit and say, it's a subject of controversy. But what does that mean? You see, what exactly are you saying with that? And then, to say Black Lives Matter, where's your proof? Do we have any proof? Can anyone offer proof anywhere in modern history that Black Lives Matter? And I'm not saying they do or they don't. What I'm asking anyone to do is offer proof that they matter. Anybody. Do you have any proof? Can you tell me of any occurrence in history where they showed that Black Lives matter?
And to who?
Say it again, sister.
To who? Matter to who? When you think about that.
I'll even say, can we show that they matter to anyone in the world? Black lives. Do we have anybody in this room have any historical reference post our enslavement where we can say that there's been something to show Black lives matter? Okay?
Other than the slave books, the history books that show we were slaves.
Well, when I listen to that statement, I see there's a disconnect.
Okay.
Because first off, I think black has to be qualified in relationship to a living organism for it to be alive. So let's qualify the statement then. Let's see. All right, let's look at some history. So that's Emmet Till, right? So we know that, and these are things that I'm copying and pasting and how they wrote it.
Right.
Okay, this is how it's wrote. If you Google Emmet Till, this comes up. I just copied and pasted because we need to see the point. Okay, Emmet Louis Till was an African American teenager who was murdered in Mississippi at the age of 14 after reportedly flirting with a white woman. Okay. Now, on January 24, 1956, Look magazine publishes the confessions of J.W. Milam and Roy Bryant, two white men from Mississippi who were acquitted in the 1955 kidnapping and murder of Emmet Louis Till, an African-American teenager from Chicago. In the Look article titled, "The Shocking Story of a Proved Killing in Mississippi," the men detailed how they beat Till with their gun, shot him, and threw his body in the Tallahatchie River with a heavy cotton gin fan attached with barbed wire to his neck to weigh him down. The two killers were paid a reported $4,000 for their participation in the arson. Now, on September 19th, the kidnapping and murder trial of Brian and Miller began in Sumner, Mississippi. 5 days later, on September 23rd, the all-white, all-male jury acquitted the two men of murder after deliberating for a little over an hour. The jury claimed it would have reached its decision even more quickly, despite overwhelming evidence that the defendants were guilty had it not taken a soda break. The acquittal caused international outrage and helped spark the American civil rights movement. Miller and Bryan were not brought to justice, and both later died of cancer. In 2004, the U.S. Justice Department reopened the case amid suggestions that other people, some of whom are still alive, may have participated in the crime. Till's body was exhumed by the FBI in 2005, and an autopsy was performed. In 2007, a grand jury decided not to seek an indictment against additional individuals. Did it matter there?
No. Tortured the heck out of him.
Now, published their confession, they would have come to their decision earlier, despite overwhelming evidence, but they took a soda break.
Oh, that was
So that slowed them down from saying not guilty, because despite the overwhelming evidence, we needed to take a soda break. So we'll get back to you in about an hour instead of 15 minutes. Okay? Didn't matter there, right? Okay? Do we know who this is? Yvette Smith, February 16, 2014. Have we heard of the sister?
Is she the sister that finally got the apology for?
Okay. I want to make one thing clear. Okay? If the tree doesn't matter, then the things that the tree bears doesn't matter.
That's true.
Yes.
Okay? So if the root of the tree isn't strong, if that is not relevant, then the fruit that it yields is not good for you or relevant either.
Right.
So let's look at Sister Yvette Smith. Innocent mother shot dead answering door for police. I could not copy and paste all of the newspaper articles, so I just copied the heading and so on and so forth, because I didn't feel like using up all this memory on my computer trying to download all this stuff. So these are literally the headings.
And by you saying February 16, is that meaning it's
This
this
is
year?
it's telling you what happened. When it
That's
happened.
this year?
No, 2014.
Oh, okay.
This is last year.
Okay.
Okay. On February 16, deputies were called to a home on Zimmerman Avenue just after midnight for reports of two men fighting over a weapon. Witnesses who were inside the house at the time said the woman called 911 and told the dispatcher the fight was over money, not a gun. When Williams arrived at the home, Smith was standing near the front doorway of the home. According to authorities, Willis issued verbal commands for Smith to come out of the home, but when she stepped out, he fired his weapon and shot her twice. Now, if you do further research on this, you'll find that they tried to say, of course, that she had a weapon, and later found out, of course, she didn't, and so on and so forth, right? She came to the door, and they shot her. That's just what happened. And you can follow the case to find out that they were acquitted. Okay? Did it matter there? Well, even in, let me ask this.
Not in our emotional sense, no.
Okay? In order for something to matter, what do we need to show that it mattered? Let's set that foundation. In order for something, for us to be able to show that it did matter, okay, so in order for us to prove the statement, what type of evidence do we need?
Value.
Okay, what else? So we would need to be able to show that there are a preponderance of court cases and things like that where people are being found guilty versus not guilty. That's one way, right?
Yeah.
So in order for it to matter, there must be more evidence to suggest, okay, well, there was 100 people found not guilty, but there was 500 people found guilty. That means, okay, well, the evidence suggests that, you know, these 100 people, maybe there were loopholes in the cases, things like that, right? But the 500 got convicted. Do we know of how many times a policy enforcement or anyone from a policy enforcement agency has been convicted and served time for killing a black male?
What's a poly enforcement agent?
Okay, that's what people mistakenly call police officers.
I'm just interested.
Okay.
Okay, so what do we, how many times have one been convicted? About a total of 3 to 4 times. And that's researchable. Okay? And if someone can add to that number, they can do some research that shows that there's more. Next time you see me, please let me know. Right now, I've found about 4 times where they've been convicted of killing a black person in the line of duty or off duty. About 4 times. Since or post enslavement. So we're not talking about the last 5 years or 10. We're talking about since the so-called Emancipation Proclamation till today. There's about 4. Okay? And please do some research, add to that number so that I can, you know, stand corrected and be able to offer a better number next time. But I have about 4. Okay? Now, let's see. Tanisha Anderson, November 13, 2014, age 37, Cleveland. Do we know her? It's amazing, and these are ones we never hear of, right? We hear about some other ones, but these are our mothers. These are our daughters. And I'll tell anyone that as a man, there's no men on the planet who are respected when they don't protect their mothers.
That's true.
So if you wonder why people of other nations don't respect you as a quote-unquote black man, because you ain't protecting your mothers. Nobody in this world goes out to picket and march when their son or daughter is assassinated. That's insane. And as much as you may not agree or like it, nature has laws of compensation. And we are in violation of the laws of compensation of nature. And we got to understand that. So that for every action, there's an equal opposite reaction. So is assassinating Mike Brown is the equal opposite reaction marching on Congress? Would that be considered compensation in nature? So that means who's in violation? You see what I'm saying? So we got to take a look at all of it from the different angles and understand what's really happening to us. We're outside of nature right now. Okay, so we're outside of the principles of nature, which means we're also outside of the principles of nationhood. Because nationhood is derived from the principles of nature. Okay, so this is our mother, Tanisha Anderson, died November 13, 2014, age 37, Cleveland. What happened? Cleveland, Ohio, Tanisha Anderson died as a result of being physically restrained in a prone position by Cleveland police on November 13th. The Cuyahoga County Medical Examiner's Office announced Friday. Her death was ruled a homicide. Anderson's official cause of death was ruled sudden death associated with physical restraint in a prone position, according to the medical examiner's office. Her heart disease and bipolar disorder were considered factors that increased her chance of sudden death. Officer spokesman Chris Harris said. Her family called police twice on November 13th to report the 37-year-old woman was disturbing the peace, police said. They eventually agreed to let police take her to St. Vincent's Charity Medical Center for a mental health evaluation. Police said that Anderson began to kick at the officers as they escorted her to a police car and went limp during the struggle. But Anderson's brother, Joel Anderson, told Northeast Ohio Medical Group that Anderson got nervous after voluntarily getting into the back of the car. She left the cruiser, and a police officer performed a takedown move, placed his knee on Anderson's back as she lay face down on the pavement, and handcuffed her before she stopped moving, according to Anderson's family. So, she had a bipolar disorder, heart disease. So she was evidently off her medication. The policy enforcement agencies were called to help, right? And because she didn't comply while she's off her meds, and they're being called for help. They're being called for help because the domus cannot get control over it because she's off her meds, right? So they're calling for assistance, help, right? So because she continued to do what she was doing in the first place, which was act out her bipolar disorder, she was thrown down in a prone position. They put a knee in her back, on her neck, or on her back, excuse me, and she lay face down. Eventually, she stopped moving. Right? Did it matter there? Can we say that it mattered? You see what I'm saying? That we're seeing that this matters, right? Melissa, and although that looks like a masculine figure, that's one of our mothers also. Melissa Williams died November 29, 2012, age 30, Cleveland. Do we know who that is? You will in a second, because this is one that most of us know who it is. Melissa Williams was a passenger in a car driven by a man named Timothy Russell when a police officer thought he heard shots fired from the vehicle and began following them. According to Associated Press, a 25-minute chase through Cleveland ended with 13 officers firing 137 rounds at the car, which was eventually cornered into a school parking lot. 23 bullets struck Russell and 24 hit Williams. They were both killed. Williams and Russell, who both had criminal records, were unarmed. 6 officers were indicted in the car chase. Officer Michael Brelo was charged with manslaughter, and 5 supervisors were charged with dereliction of duty. Brelo, who allegedly fired 49 shots at the vehicle, 15 of them from the top to the hood, goes to trial in April. The city settled a wrongful death lawsuit for $3 million. This shooting is one of the worst examples of police misconduct in American history. Attorneys for Williams and Russell's family said in a statement last year, "This settlement sends the clearest signal yet that real reform must be achieved inside the Cleveland Police Department." Does any of this ring a bell?
Yes.
Now we know Brelo.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what we see playing out on TV right now. And remember, they were just acquitted. Now, understanding the laws of compensation, right? There's $3 million cover that. Okay, so you have someone assassinated, killed, murdered, whatever words you want to put on it, right? Now, her family, her domus, which is the right word, domus, family means a household of slaves. Literally, that's what it means. When you say the word family, you won't find it in that dictionary. But you'll find it in, if you Google it online, get into a good dictionary, you'll find that family means household of slaves. Domus means your kindred. So we use the word domus, domestic, right? So we think the word domestic means servants. Actually, the word family means servants. And domestic means your kindred. It's completely flipped. And remember that you're spelling, you're casting spells. Okay? Words cast spells. That's why I say domus. So, was her domus compensated? Think clearly. Does $3 million compensate for that event, that loss of life? And why not?
Life is priceless.
Okay?
Well, first off, she's a mother, and in her is future generations. So $3 million is just hush money.
And
I was sitting, I just want to say, I was sitting in front of a policeman, retired police officer. And he was sort of bragging to a young man that was sitting next to him and encouraging him that he should become a police officer. He said, because you get good pay, you end up with good retirement, and if you do something wrong, you never get fired. All they do is move you to a different location, so you know the heat is off of whatever you did. But they just move you to a new neighborhood.
okay, I want you to do something. Turn to the word officer in that dictionary, because I want to show you something. I want to show you something. Because we got to know, like you said when you came in, I need to know the application. So let's turn to the word officer, because we need to understand what we're saying when we say it. Because remember that in everything you do, you're contracted. Okay? Everything in the world is based on contract. Read the definition of officer.
It's already highlighted.
Of course it
Okay, officer, the incumbent of an office, one who is lawfully invested with an office. And then do you want to read the cases?
No.
Okay. One who is charged by a superior power, in parentheses, and particularly by government, close parentheses, with the power and duty of exercising certain functions. This goes on.
Just what they probably intended for.
Okay.
But certain is a huge word. It's huge.
Now,
It can mean anything.
read the beginning of the first two lines of that again.
Okay, officer. The incumbent of an office, semicolon, one who is lawfully invested with an office.
Okay. Now, remember your contract. And whatever you say, you create contracts permission. Okay? That's what you're doing. You're creating permission with someone in everything you do, right? So, in order to have an office, okay, then you must be given the authority for an office. But there must be an office. Now, what creates an office, though? Where are the offices of this government created at? I'm asking.
In the Constitution.
Okay. Now, where is the office of police officers created in the Constitution? Now, I do have one if we need it, if anybody wants to turn to it.
I think it would probably be in the state constitution of that particular state.
Okay.
Because they're private entities, going to be their bylaws and their policies.
I thought it's just
procedures.
whoever is to put themselves in power.
Statute.
Okay.
Be-
So, who created police officers?
Police or sheriff?
Police officers.
I would think it started with people who were given the privilege to go chase down people who were running for slavery.
First, you would have to create a municipality or a city. And since the city was created as a corporation, then the corporation would have to hire security or police officers to be on contract with them. It's not an elective office.
Yeah, okay. Now remember we set the standard of proof in the beginning, right? So turn to police.
Okay, because even office, can I read
Go
that?
ahead.
The office says right to exercise public or private employment and to take the fees and emoluments thereunto belonging, whether public, as those of magistrates, or private, as of bailiffs, receivers, or the like. And then, okay, and employment, wait. There's a lot of cases in here. Okay, a right and correspondent duty.
Talk up a little louder.
Okay, a right and correspondent duty to exercise a public trust. Then there's cases, and then a public charge or employment. And employment on behalf of the government in any situation or public trust, not merely transient, occasional, or incidental. Wow, that sounds
Okay.
pretty
Let's go to police officers. Let's identify who they are in law. Now that is the law dictionary. When you go to court, when you go anywhere dealing with them, that's the dictionary that they're using. Now,
So you said, so that's
this is a different dictionary, okay? This is a regular dictionary, although it's a good dictionary, okay? So go ahead and read police or police officer, whichever one you got.
okay, police, okay, so you want me to, okay, police officer, one of the staff of men employed in cities and towns to enforce the municipal police, i.e. the laws and ordinances for preserving the peace and good order of the community, otherwise called policeman.
Okay, what's the other?
Police, the function of that branch of the administrative machinery of government, which is charged with the preservation of public order and tranquility, the promotion of the public health, safety, and morals, and the prevention, detection, and punishment of crimes.
Okay,
Wow.
now,
Some more kids.
go back to the first one, police
Police
officer.
officer,
Now read that one more time.
police officer, one of the staff of men employed in the cities and
Okay,
towns.
stop. Go read city. Turn to city.
It's a city, so man means that.
Because this is how you have to do the work. So they said employed in a city, right? So we need to know what a city is,
Right.
right? We need to know. We can't guess.
Right.
So what does it say a city is?
Okay, so.
Now, before you read it, it tells you, it says that the police is in charge of doing things in a city.
Right,
So what's a city?
all right, so city, it says in England, an incorporated town or borough which is or has been the see of a bishop, S-E-E-C, of a bishop. And then they cite cases. And then a large town incorporated with certain privileges, the inhabitants of the city, the citizens, Worcester. In America, a municipal corporation.
Stop.
Wow.
Stop. Stop right there. So a city is what?
Municipal corporation.
So where's their power?
Only within their little group.
Now, but what is the municipal corporation?
Okay.
Can you identify the municipal corporation?
Well, it's the territory within the limits.
What is the territory? Define that.
They didn't tell us, they failed to disclose that.
No, they tell
They
you.
do, county.
They tell you. You have your city limits.
In the city limits, right.
Yeah.
In the city limits.
See, you have your county jurisdiction.
And that's what it
Outside the
says.
city limits.
Also the territory within the corporate limits. The corporate limits.
Corporate.
Limits.
So you got to understand this is the application of, because when you say if someone approaches you and you say, what can I do for you, officer? You just gave them permission to act within a seat of government that they really don't have, because you just said,
Call them an officer.
you just gave them permission.
Right, right.
You
And
see?
also jurisdiction, huh?
Yes. You just gave it to them.
Wow.
Why we get a cyber right there? Time is everything.
You know?
Exactly.
Words casting spells.
I heard
In Pasadena, the city of Pasadena,
Uh-huh.
that there was a time when black people had to carry a card
Mm-hmm.
to go into certain neighborhoods in Pasadena
Mhm.
after a certain hour. If they were found over there,
Yep.
they could be arrested, taken
Mhm.
away, or whatever by those
Yep.
officers.
That was all over the country.
So we had a part-time.
That was all over the country during our enslavement. Okay, and does anyone understand why I say our enslavement and I don't say slaves?
Yes. because-
Why?
Because slaves is not a proper term for us.
But why?
It's because it's Slavic.
Thank you.
Yes.
So are we Slavic?
No.
So the word slave comes from the word Slavic. Slavic is a nationality. Slave is a nationality. It denotes a nation, the Slavs. But it also tells you their condition. They were enslaved. They were some of the first slaves. Who enslaved them? The Moors.
I was, this is real interesting because I was just doing some studying just a little while back of the Los Angeles Department, LAPD, and I went to the Los Angeles Department manual
Okay.
for the LAPD. And then I went to various sections in it looking for things to help me understand what their purpose is and what they do. And I went to, within their own manual, to general provisions, and it is 007 section of general provisions under the note of 030, and it explains, it says officer/sworn person. It says an officer and sworn person are used interchangeably and apply to those employees of the department, regardless of rank, who are sworn in as provided by law, to perform the duties of the regular police officers in the city of Los Angeles. And then it has section 1302, semicolon A, of the city charter. These terms also apply to reserve officers while on duty. So I just...
It's going to tell you in all of their things, just like you read, it's going to tell you certain little things that you have to pick up. That they're calling these people certain things irregardless. You see what I'm saying? That these are just the terms used for people who perform these duties. But then these are the terms that you use without knowing what you're saying.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? The power, because that every single power in this world comes by two things: words and force. That's it. Words, force. You know, now the incarnation or the origin of it was thought, of course. However, the movement is words and force. So when we get into the statutes, codes, we need to know what is the statute and code. We need to know what a law is. All of those things. You see what I'm saying? We got to know. When we say police officer, an officer is someone elected as defined in the Constitution. You can't be an officer if you're not elected by the people. See what I'm saying? So you can't hold an office. The only lawful officer for enforcement of law is the sheriff. That's it. He's the only constitutional authority. That's it, the sheriff.
And there's also a guideline whereby they have to be sworn in, a specific wording.
Yes.
And that's in the California State Constitution, Article 20, Section 3. And it tells you exactly what words they must say if they don't.
Yes. And you
by
need to
that
keep
oath.
that.
I need a copy of that.
Yes, you need to keep that. You need to have that in your modes of conveyance.
Right, you show them. This is
Because
what
they're
I'm following.
sworn to uphold the Constitution and the state constitution. And then also in it, that it'll say that they have to uphold these things, and basically in their wording, they tell you remove your personal beliefs and emotion. And it says it in their oath that they have to not bring in personal beliefs and emotion,
Right.
you know, and it says it in certain wording, but it's clear what they're telling them. You can't bring bias, all that's in their oath of affirmation. Constitutionally, in order to hold an office, you have to have an oath of affirmation on file. So all of those are public. They should be on file at your county clerk's office. Now, they may tell you to go to different places when you get there to get it, because they may put them in different buildings and so on and so forth, but that's a public document. Okay? So now, let's get to charges dismissed against Joseph Wheatley, cop who fatally shot a 7-year-old. Do we know who that is? We don't remember that one, right? Okay.
In the car?
Hold on just a second, I'm getting her name down. Joseph, what was that?
Joseph Wheatley, cop.
Oh,
He was the cop.
oh, that's, okay.
Charges dismissed
Oh,
against the
right.
cop.
Okay.
Mhm.
I'll look it up.
She was sweet.
Now, today we personally inform the family of Ayanna Stanley Jones that we have made a decision that we would not be going to trial for a third time in the Joseph Wheatley case. Worthy said Colin Hathaway's decision to dismiss the manslaughter charge. Manslaughter, okay? Unfortunate. To dismiss the charge, unfortunate. It's unfortunate. Shortly after midnight, May 16, 2010, members of the Detroit Police Department Special Response Team initiated a raid on the Stanley Jones home in a search of a murder suspect. Wheatley was first through the door and allegedly had difficulty seeing when another officer threw a flashbang grenade. Wheatley fired his gun, killing Ayanna, who had been asleep on the couch with her grandmother. Wheatley maintained that he only shot because the grandmother, Myrtilla Jones, struck his gun. She denied touching his weapon, and at that trial, the prosecution questioned why Wheatley had his finger on the trigger.
Even before that, why throw a grenade in somebody's house?
In the dark.
Shortly after midnight.
Yeah,
Grenade?
in the dark.
Flashback.
Okay?
And cause she touched his weapon. How grandma get that close to touch the weapon?
They're asleep on the couch.
And it was too dark for him to see.
In the dark,
So
yeah.
how would she see?
But the charges were
No.
dismissed, and it was
Well, I mean,
it was
none
just
of it makes
unfortunate.
any sense.
So did Black Lives Matter here?
Yeah, in some context. In the way we're
No.
thinking.
No.
And I would actually say yes. Sure they matter. We're not saying what they matter as. They matter. The question is, as what? They're showing that they matter.
In what context?
We just can't understand the matter of fact of what they're showing. That they matter. They're of importance. Relevance to what, though, is the importance. You see what I'm saying? We've got to look at it from all the angles that they're giving us, right? Now, let's get into status. Now, we'll read this and we're going to break some of this down, because this is where we get into understanding Black Lives Matter. Status. Standing. State or condition. Status. This is in that dictionary. It says standing, state, or condition. So your status is your state or condition, right?
Your standards.
The legal relation of individuals to the rest of the community. The rights, duties, capacities, and incapacities which determine a person to a given class. A legal personal relationship not temporary in its nature nor terminable at the mere will of the parties with which third persons and the state concerned. It also,
One line up right there. While term.
while term implies relation, it is not mere relation. It implies relation, but it's not mere relation. It also means a state. Now, do you see why I was trying to tell him last night that you can't own nothing if you're not here in your proper status? Status means a state. That's why you don't argue. Either you're going to listen or you're going to keep acting like you know. Either way, I don't need to argue with you. It's clear. Because it signifies the condition or circumstance in which one stands with regards to his property. So your status determines your relationship to your property. Do we understand how your status, right? So if your status is wrong, your relationship with your property is wrong, right?
Right. Oh.
Right.
You see?
Yes.
So the black thing in the Constitution. Oh.
Okay. If your status is wrong,
You're descendant of the slave, which is a child.
then it can offsuit, can determine, and it does determine your relationship with your property.
Mm-hmm.
And you black.
Versus-
So
You're a
you are-
state.
A flesh and blood person versus a strong man.
Now,
Well, and also the fact that you declared openly, and they probably put on the paperwork that she was black, so you go to the legal dictionary, she's a descendant of a slave, which is property, and so therefore she got
Yeah, no
treated,
problem.
well, no, she got treated like property, as a descendant of a slave. Property.
now, go back to here, which
That's
says the
what
rights,
process is done.
duties, capacities, and incapacities which determine a person to a given class. Your status determines your class, right? What is class? What is that?
Well, that state of black or
Your level
Okay.
in society.
Let's see what
that's
it
what
says.
most of us think.
Same dictionary.
Social status.
Class, the order or rank according to which persons or things are arranged or sorted. Also, a body of persons uncertain in number, a group of persons, things, qualities, or activities having common characteristics or attributes. Also, same descriptive properties. The order or rank according to which persons or things are arranged. That's class. Order and rank is class. Your status determines that. Now, look up black in that dictionary. Now, black
You
is status.
just a sidebar note.
Yeah.
In understanding that these caste systems were developed to establish a certain class, you know, by Charles Darwin and Johann Blumenbach and all these other guys. But that class, once we accept that caste system class, it automatically changes or alters our status. It puts us in a stateless position or
It's
outstanding.
it's a contract.
Yeah.
You are determining your terms of contract. Okay? We're dealing with corporation law. Remember in the class, I told you, and showed you, that every definition in that book is all caps. Now, what does all caps symbolize?
Corporation.
So what book is that?
The law dictionary.
It's a corporate
Corporate
dictionary.
dictionary.
It's contract law. That's why it's all caps. So every definition you read is about contracting.
Yeah.
That's not a contract dictionary. That's a connotative dictionary in a lot of ways. It has some denotation in there. So read black.
Black, adjective.
Great, thank you. Thank you for reading adjective. Now, what is an adjective?
It's a part of speech.
No, not an action word. What's an adjective? Okay. So can an adjective be a noun?
No.
And a noun is what? A person, place, or thing. Go ahead.
Abbreviation blackest, blacker. Being of the darkest achromatic visual value. Producing or reflecting comparatively little light and having no predominant hue. Having no light whatsoever, a black cave. Belonging to an ethnic group having dark skin, especially Negroid. Dark in color or having parts that are dark in color. Used with animals and plants. Names, black bats, black birch, black bass. Used with animals and plants. Names, black bass, oh I read that one. Soiled, as from soot. Evil, sinister, black deeds. Cheerless and depressing, gloomy. Angered, sullen. Sometime capital. Attended with disaster, calamitous. The stock market crash on Black Friday. Of or designating a form or humor dealing with the abnormal and grotesque aspects of life and society, and evoking a sense of the comedy of a human despair and failure. Indicating or incurring censure or dishonor. Man has written one of its blackest records as a destroyer on the oceanic island.
You can stop there.
That was pretty long. It's in the college dictionary.
Now, it's an adjective, right? So can a description word matter? And I'm asking it that way for a reason. If it's an adjective, if an adjective is a description, then what does Black Lives Matter actually, what does that sentence mean? Because black is a description.
It's not now.
So who is it talking about?
So it really has no
Someone
substance.
talking about anybody, because people are not, they're not an actual.
It's not,
Not an action, not a
it's not, it's like
description.
saying the yellow car is great. What, you talking about the Honda, the Subaru, Cadillac?
Right,
What you talking
right.
about? Wow. So then on top of that, what positivity is coming out of that? And even the definition of it. And now, these are our definitions of words. We invented language. Every language construct on this planet comes from us.
Right.
There's no language that literally doesn't have its roots back to us. So when we look at these books, don't look at them as, oh, the white man's book, or the white man doesn't have a book.
Yes.
And people weren't crayons in the first place, so who are we talking about when we say white man?
Right, exactly.
Okay? So, Those are our books. We invented law on the planet and taught them. So all we're doing is relearning, reawakening the substances within us to learn our stuff again. Okay? So right there, we determined way, way back when that black was an adjective.
Right.
Now it comes from the root word, okay, bleh or black. And it means pale. And it's etymon. The word BL, those letters denote something pale, glistening, or gleaming. It produces the same words, the words bleach, which is also telling you the words, common root, same meaning. When you have the same root, it's the same fruit. Okay? Bleach, black, and blue all mean pale. Glistening, gleaming. That's what they mean, right? So it doesn't even apply to you in the first place. Because you ain't pale. But that's an emotional attachment. You see what I'm saying?
That's right.
And it can't even be you because it's not a noun.
Right.
That's not opinion. We set our ground rules. It's fact. It can't be you. It's a descriptive term, right? Then it says invokes calamity. Okay? It says deals with destruction, all those things. Right?
Gloomy.
So what are we saying matters? What are we saying, right?
Not much.
And then we're talking about a class. Black and white or class systems. Class. Now, how are we doing with regards to the serving and everything?
She said it.
What time is it now?
11:45.
Okay. So they're setting it up in there? Okay, so we're good. All right. So let's look at this. You probably can't see this that well. Let's all read it. Now this is
Got 1, 2 over here.
Does that say the
no,
origin?
that's what it said. And this is what I'm reading. Anybody wants to see it? This book is written in 1895. Now, it tells you, it says, white and black is well known. Means with Eastern writers little more than dominant and dependent. Thus, the black Khazars or Hungarians were the subjects of the white Khazars. White and black is well known in Eastern writers means dominant and dependent. Now, before going further, it is necessary to look into this last statement pretty closely. For the origin of the nomenclature may be found to be very deep. I find it stated elsewhere that the Tertanian tribes were very fond of expressing by certain colors the changes of political condition to which a nation may be subjected. Did you just hear what he's telling you? That the description of colors deals with the changes of a nation's condition. Black or Kara has the meaning of dependency and servitude. While white or ak has that of sovereignty and freedom. But, and pay close attention, but those colors are employed only so long as they really describe the position of a tribe. 4, if a dependent horde becomes independent and sovereign, the former Kara or black will be changed into Ak or white. The Tartars to whom the mighty conqueror Tzinking Khan belonged were named before his time Kara Tartars, while another tribe was called Ak Tartars or White Tartars. This is also the reason why the Emperor of Russia is called the White Tsar.
Wow.
And the divisions of Russia into white and black express the same meaning. But this custom is not confined to Asia and the east of Europe. It obtains or did obtain in Britain as well, and the light word, Kara itself, has plainly an Ugrian origin. It still survives in the world of the word blackguard, which though now applied very loosely is more strictly defined by Halliwell as meaning what does that say?
A nickname.
Okay.
A nickname.
Oh, a nickname. What's the next word?
Given to the
Given to the lowest drudges of the court. The
carriers.
carriers of coal and wood, the laborers in the scullery. And what is that next word?
Its Scottish form.
In Scottish form, blackguard is given by Dr. Jameson as a state of servitude to a servant, in support of which he quotes Ritchie Monopolis. So that you see, sir, I hold in a sort of black ward tenure, as we call it in our country, being the servant of a servant. Jameson also says that a black is a vulgar designation for a low scoundrel, corresponding in sense to the English blackguard, while in Halliwell's dictionary I find, what is that, black
Tan.
Black tan stated to be a term used in speaking of gypsies in Kent and perhaps elsewhere. The same thing is seen in Scottish Gaelic. A girl of the lowest rank of peasantry is a black child. Black hussy. A strolling female or gypsy is a dove should black. Black vagrant. And Armstrong also gives an obsolete word, dubrap, in Irish Gaelic as signifying the vernacular. Let me read from here.
You want to do that purple highlight?
Yeah, I want to do that.
Right.
But that it is perhaps from a like sense that we ought to trace the word serf. Clapper says that in the vulgar dialect and in Western Siberian, sor, sorny, sorny, and Syrian mean white. In many Soviet compounds, the same word is found as sir, and siren. This is well sired. English equivalent has taken its place, just as cara or cur has been pushed aside by dove. But the result is the same in this country as in the East. A word meaning white is attached to the ruling class, and black is synonymous with dependency and servitude. Now, do servants matter?
Yes.
Do servants matter?
Servants. Okay, explain how.
They matter to serve and to keep the current power system or people who are in power where they are.
Now,
Provide their comfort.
and hold that meaning, because it becomes important. Dependent. Now, these are the other terms we call ourselves, right? Color, right? Color and appearance, semblance or simulacrum, as distinguished from that which is real.
Can you say that again in slow motion?
An appearance, semblance, or simulacrum, as distinguished from that which is real. a prima facie or apparent right, hence a deceptive appearance, a plausible assumed exterior, concealing a lack of reality, a disguise or pretext.
Wow.
Distinguished from that which is real.
Right, yeah.
Colored. By common usage in America, this term in such phrases as colored persons, the colored race, colored men, and the like is used to designate Negroes or persons of African race, including all persons of mixed blood descended from Negro ancestry. But, where a state constitution provided for separate schools for the white and colored, unreal races, the term white race was held to be limited to the Caucasian race, and the term colored race to embrace all other races. It has been held that there is no legal, technical signification to the phrase colored person, which the courts are bound judicially to know. Read that again. It has also been held that there is no legal, technical signification to the phrase colored person, which the courts are bound judicially to know. They are not bound to know who you are. You are not anyone, is what that basically means.
So they are bound to know that you are not anyone.
They're not, right, they're not bound to hold you within law.
Right.
There's
But
no
they're-
signification in
And
it.
they're bound to know that we don't matter. Oops,
Yeah.
did I just say that? Black don't matter. Oh. Right.
Now-
Walk right into that, right?
We call ourselves minors. An infant for a person who is under the age of legal competence. One under 21, a term derived from the civil law, which describes a person under a certain age as less than so many years. Minor, virginity, quinquu, and is one less than 25 years of age. Also, less consideration. Lower, a person of inferior condition. Minority. The state or condition, status, condition, status, link them all back together. So, the status condition of a minor, infancy. Infancy is your condition. The smaller number of votes of a deliberative assembly opposed to majority. State or condition of a minor, infancy. It's a condition. It's a condition.
Something that can change.
Okay? Now, remember that we just said the servants matter, right? Answer was yes, right? Servants are owned, right? This is a caste system. You are a dependent. There's laws that govern this. Now, property. This is the word property.
Is that Black's Law as well?
Yes, Black's Law. All of these are all law definitions now. That which is peculiar to any person, that which belongs exclusively
Can you change your screenshot to
no,
control,
because it
control minus? Will that shrink it for you? Change the size of your screen.
no, I won't. But I know what it says, and it's in that dictionary. That it belongs exclusively to one in the strict legal sense, an aggregate of rights which are guaranteed and protected by government. Or actually, just let me read it out of there. Just keep it simple. That which is particular or proper to any person, that which belongs exclusively to one, in the strict legal sense, an aggregate of rights, which are guaranteed and protected by the government. So property comes with rights, right?
Not benefits, rights.
Now, pay attention to some of the rights as it goes into the definition. The term is said to extend to every species of valuable rights and interests. More specifically, ownership, the unrestricted and exclusive right to a thing, the right to dispose, the right to dispose, and go back to those court cases. The right to dispose, black means servant, it means dependent. So the black means that, which means that there's ownership attached to it, which means you're someone's property. And it comes with the right to dispose of a thing in every legal way, to possess it, to use it, and to exclude everyone else from interfering with it.
So they clear your face in the court.
And it's a longer definition than that. The right to dispose of it. It's a right. It's my property. And I'm protected.
So this is why the appellation needs to be corrected too, because the owner, just by having names, we're declaring we're property.
No, you were giving those brands to declare whose property you are.
Right.
Yeah.
The Jones Plantation. The Wright, W-R-I-G-H-T, plantation. So you have that attached to you, so that
that in itself identifies you
as an idea, as a brand,
as an exact
which is a property mark. A brand is a property mark. Your property mark became your name, your surname, which is a Germanic tribal name from Germanic slaveholders, okay, to show which plantation you were attached to. So that when you ran, the police officers at that time, which were called slave catchers, would be able to catch you and identify where to take you back to. This is the system. You never stripped away your brand. And so right now, with that brand, mark of the beast, you still are signified as property. And you have property holders still. Everything you do in someone else's name is considered a fraud. You can't own property in someone else's name.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying?
It's all there. You're an extension of them.
Exactly. Name. The designation of an individual, person, or of a firm or corporation. A person's name consists of one or more Christian or given names, and one surname or family name. Now, use your mind as to why a name has to have a Christian name in it. So does that mean that if is Rahme'el Ilbay, is that a name? Is it? No. Not in our facts. Is Rahme'el Ilbay a name? A name, the designation of an individual person or firm or corporation. A person's name consists of one or more Christian or given names and one surname or family name.
No,
No.
no,
Why?
it's not a Christian.
Thank you. So, go ahead.
Consists of Christian
Or,
or, doesn't mean the two, it's either or. You can be Christian or you can be something else.
or given name.
Okay.
So it's the given name.
No.
Oh, so
No,
the
it's
given,
not
yeah, Rahme'el is not a given name. It's
We didn't, first of all,
It's not
plainly,
attributes.
we didn't have names. We had
Right,
attributes.
Yeah, to describe your
It was
character.
a description of your cosmological chart.
Okay.
See, this is where the word game gets you back into understanding your history. You had titles, attributes, appellations. It was a description of your character.
Yeah, I noticed that most names that I come across in different cultures, it's to signify how a person is, what, more like to describe them as opposed to just a blank, something that means nothing.
Exactly.
It's cute. Felt good to see.
The rulers of ancient societies, i.e. the mothers, took months, weeks, until they understood the chart, the cosmological occurrence of the baby, before they would give them an attribute, because it was important. And they tell you, I mean, it's amazing, the program, because they tell you, they tell you on TV in this country how important names are all the time, right? What we do is we discard it. Oh, that's discrimination. They'll tell you, oh, well, if you come in here with names such as Matt, then you are more than likely by this percentage to get this job. If you come into here with a name like LaQuisha, right, and I'm not saying anything's bad, I'm talking about this is what they do, right?
Yes.
We're not talking about good and bad, we're talking about what they show. That based on this name, you are less likely to get this job by this percentage, right? They're telling you the importance of naming. Now, of course, they're inferring the greatness of their Christian names because of being the dominant white sovereign society, i.e. colonial rulership. But they are telling you that that names have significance, right? Now, it tells you it is a distinctive characterization. Ain't that what we just said?
Yeah.
In words by which one is known and distinguished from others. And description or abbreviation is not the equivalent of a name.
Ooh, and you need a repeat. And description. Description
Okay,
or abbreviation.
okay. It is a distinctive characterization in words by which one is known and distinguished from others. And description or abbreviation is not the equivalent of a name. Custom gives one his father's family name, and such a paramina as his parents choose to put before it. But this is only general rule from which individual may depart if he chooses. As to the history of Christian names and surnames and their use and relative importance in law, see in Resnup. That's a court case. But they're telling you the importance, and they're telling you what, when you say I have a name, what you just said you belong to. Because your name is Christian property. That's why there's a correct way to respond. Do you remember it in the class? When I walked up to the sister in the class and I said, hey, introduced myself and played the game with her. She didn't know the game was being played just by me saying, hey, what's your name? And how about her answering with, I think her name was Gloria. Did she acquiesce to being property by even agreeing that you have a name? Because a name goes back to Christian property itself. And so the correct response is my title or my attribute is Rahme'el Ilbay. Because Rahme'el has a meaning in it that codifies who I am in attribute. But it has nothing to do with the Christian naming process or the Germanic families. You see what I'm saying? So we got to know what that means when we say it, and so on and so forth. Is there any questions? Go ahead.
Well, I just want to touch on that just a little bit due to the fact that they produced the Christian black codes, and all that was predicated upon slaves having the surnames of their slave owners, and so all those laws apply to black people with those surnames.
Yeah.
And then really keeping in mind that the my dictionary gone, so like
My dictionary.
I said the same thing you said mine. Anyway, so the fact that this book in itself is contract or corporate law, which is something that's totally separate and apart from the. It makes it really more clear that it's fiction. It's a made-up thing outside of what our Constitution for the nation was all about.
It is,
And
but
we're
it
caught up in
is.
this.
It is, but it isn't. Meaning that all law comes from Allah, or Allah.
Right.
All law. Now, that becomes what we call nature's law, i.e. Mother Nature. That becomes common law. That becomes your Constitution. And then those concepts have been put into a corporate construct for contracting.
And that's what everything
That's what that is. The system of contracting is fine. The problem is our ignorance of the system of contract, because we invented contracting. But we invented it, with the purpose of protection and making sure that people did what they say that they're going to do, came in, on their promises, and it has a system of consequence, which is the laws of compensation, retribution, so on and so forth. So the world has always operated on contracts, contract law. Your Ark of the Covenant, the Ark of the Covenant.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Where our women, the mothers, promised Ark agreement, covenant, agreement with Allah to bring these souls into manifestation in this plane. That's contract law.
Wow.
You see, to be the contractor, to agree to be the gateway. See, so within that, all this is fine. What it is that we have lost our self because we've been taken out of it.
For real, and I mean nowhere. When I think back in all my certain number of years, this was never taught to us, never even alluded to, never taught to us.
No, and it
It's intentional.
one of the things that we've got to do and be willing to do
No part of it.
is just be ourselves at this point. When we look, we see a lot of people repping red, black, and green, or this, and that. You still got a Christian name. You still can't own anything.
Right.
Yes.
So what does just be ourselves mean?
Be who your ancestors were, because you are there without contradiction. No one on the planet, unless you're greater than Allah, can change the nature of an individual.
Well, I'm saying that because I understand what you're saying. I'm saying it because it's like when you say that to someone who is just woke up found out about this 32 hours ago, and you say just be myself. I'm like,
I tell them they got to come back for part 2.
oh, okay.
Right, and that's what I wanted to touch on just a little bit too, because that name also connects you to a people, to an ancestry. And so, because as I listen, it is so wonderful you're doing this, brother. And the numbers don't mean nothing. It's this knowledge, my brother. And the thing that I'm seeing too as remedy for our people, because our people need remedy in so many different ways. to just be awakening to know that you are part of a nation, a part of a people.
Part and parcel.
Part and parcel, and not property or tied to a Christian owner, that you are connected.
Understand that this whole,
Or just perpetually lost because of conditions and terms.
Right,
of
it
history.
was intentionally kept.
this whole thing that we're dealing with, as to why this is codified this way, is to interrupt your natural line of descendancy. It's called escheating.
It's called what?
Escheating.
E-S-C-H.
E-S. Yes.
E-S-C-H-E.
And look it up. I mean, I run the dictionary
Yes.
so that, you know, you can look it up in here while you're here. No problem. I have a whole thing of books. Take pictures of them. You know, get the materials.
Okay.
Because everything, when we come back after we eat, we're going to really get into who we are.
Can you spell it again? 'Cause
It's cheating.
E-S.
E-S.
E-S. And then cheating.
oh, okay.
It means to interrupt the natural line of descendancy. Remember that status determines a state. Status, it also means a state. This is the most important thing that they just told you right here. Status means a state. Your status was that of servitude. You continue to call yourself that. So then what you have to understand and grow in knowledge as to, can servants own property? Can people who are in servitude, do they have rights? You see, we got to garner those things because you're calling yourself that, right? And in law, what you say is, and their job is not to correct you. That's not their job. Your job is to know. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. See, it's just no excuse. So that's why we were made to be ignorant. It's so that we would know that your status deals with your estate. But then you ask, well, what is my estate? What is my estate? You see what I'm saying? What is my estate? And that's what we need to know. This whole thing was made, these concepts was made to interrupt one of the greatest lines of descendancy on the planet. It was made to interrupt that. So this whole thing, these whole new conditions are new on the planet, but they are literally made to interrupt the greatest, or one of the greatest line of descendancies on the planet. Okay, we're in there, and that's what we're going to talk about when we come back.
I just have a quick question.
Oh, I'm sorry, just go ahead.
You know when they say S-O-N after a person's name, was that literally because they were the sons of those people with the original name?
Like Johnson.
Say like Johnson.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I don't know
I
that.
wondered if they ended up, because a lot of people have that name, and I'm wondering if they just gave it to people who were born into slavery.
That I don't know. I don't know. I won't speak incorrectly. I don't know that.
Real quick, I wasn't privileged to be the last one you did. When you were doing the thing on the name, how did that go? You asked me about the name or whatever.
Oh.
Well, two things. I have the videos here if anybody wants to get them. And then, you know, it's actually a 6-hour DVD.
Okay.
Now, it went to where she answered. And what happens is that the reason I did it that way is because when we're at these events, you've got to keep thinking. You are expected in here just as what's expected out there. And so when you go out there, there's no time for the mistake.
Right.
So I walked up to her, I'm like, you know, it was a new sister who I had never came into contact with. And I said, hey sis, you know, how are you? You know, she said, great. I said, what's your name? She said, my name is Gloria. I said, great. I said, I am Rahme'el. Nice to meet you. Hope you enjoyed the class. Then I stepped back and I said, what did she just say? What did she just say? Because you agreed that you have a name. You agreed by acquiescing to the question itself. So you agreed to a jurisdiction by agreeing to by contracting that you have a name. And so when I said it, then she got it, and people can see, because that's exactly what happens. You know, when our babies are standing on a corner or walking, they pull up to them in the squad cars. Hey, what are you doing? What's your name? And they're asking for permission. You see it as them having authority. No, they're contracting. I need to get your permission, but I'm going to do it in a certain way. It's like, what city do you live in? What municipality? I'm asking you what municipality you live in. What corporation do you live in? Is what I'm asking you when I say what city. Because if you say you live in the city, where the word live, L-I-V-E, means reside and abide. Abide means to be under certain rules and regulations. You see? So when I say what city do you live in, all those words are contract words. You see what I'm saying? But we see them out of Webster's dictionary. But we're dealing with so-called law enforcement. But we don't know how to switch over to the contract side when we're dealing with them.
Right.
You see?
So what do you say? Domus is in the territory?
If they ask me where do I live?
Yeah, what city? Domus is in the city of
I live in myself.
Oh, within myself.
Wow.
Within myself. Well, they say, well, they'll ask again, well, where do you live though? Well, I live within myself.
And you reside then?
I don't even have to go any further. I don't owe you an explanation. I don't even know you.
That's right.
So I don't owe you further explanation. You ask me where I live, I'm within myself.
So I imagine here in California, if you say I'm Marie, they don't have a clue what to do next.
Did you say what?
I'm Marie. There are thousands.
Oh yeah, well,
Maries in California. They ask you that, you haven't told them anything.
You have it, but
No,
if
I
it
know,
doesn't
yeah,
connect
you
you
have.
to your ancestors.
Yeah,
no,
you
I'm
have.
just saying,
Because the name
it doesn't
itself-
help them track you, it doesn't help
No.
them.
I get both your points. What you're saying is just by saying a name, a first name, no surname, because there's so many, you still haven't told them. And yet at the same time, from the contract perspective, you have told them something. You told them because you gave them a name.
Right.
Not an appellation or an attribute. You gave them a name, going back to the dictionary definition of the word. So now they can still tie you to a state. It's just from Marie. Marie is a Germanic or one of these
Well,
given
it's a
names.
Mary, it's supposed to be
Well, it's
after
also a
being
Christian,
named
it's
after
also
Mary.
a Christian name.
It's Christian name. That's
So,
right. So you
yeah.
just gave them permission.
So remember, and this is where we got to break down what actually the name is. So you have the Christian, okay, the Christian name, okay, so when you have, let's say, Marie Walton. Now, tell me, what's Marie?
It's name that came from
No.
Mary, which is Christian.
No, well, but, which is, yeah, so you said that again, it's a Christian name, right? So now, what is the last name? What is that? Who's that?
The German, I'm sorry, the Christian.
No, it's a
the
Germanic
owner,
family.
The owner.
Right, it's a
plantation.
Germanic name. So
Oh.
you have, remember, that the construct is this: the Christian name, family name. So you have to have, you have a Christian
the whole
name,
thing,
Marie,
every part of the name.
property of Christianity.
Gotcha.
Williamson, Walton, Stanley, whatever, it's a
Specific
Germanic name, plantation. Okay, that's the construct. What we kind of do is we look at it as if the last name is the Christian name. The Christian name is the first name. The family name is the last. And in our ancient cultures, actually, your so-called family name was first. And then your given name was second.
Oh, so that's why they do last name, first name comma.
Right. So,
Ooh, that's
The
a
point I was trying to make though, as you said, if the police are stopping you, and all you've said is, I'm Marie, that
Right,
doesn't
right.
give a way to track who you
Right.
really are or
Which
anything like that. That's
Right,
all.
no, I know what you
That's all.
mean. Yeah.
Are you still giving them permission to contract?
Yeah, because.
You are,
they done
because
said
it's,
you're running.
it's
It says
a,
you're
line of
I'm
descendants.
saying they can't run you on.
Right, they can't run you,
on
they
their
couldn't find you.
equipment and say, this is the
I
person.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
You
You
are
that's,
still gave them ammunition, you
If
still
you're-
let them know you, like if you would've said, my name is, say, Alaya or something
Oh,
like
yeah, I
that,
understand.
then it would've thrown
Yes.
them off, because now you're not, clearly it's not Christian, you
I
see?
understand what
Well,
you're
now,
saying.
it-
It doesn't
Anytime-
mean you can't be a Christian more, that's a whole nother subject. but-
Anytime your title or attribute goes back to someone else, then you have an issue. But what the sister's saying is just not giving them enough information for them to move forward.
Right.
Exactly.
Right, which is true, it wouldn't. I
Okay.
mean, they're gonna automatically say, well, Marie what? Because like I said, they can't move Marie what? Because I need something to look and track. So in that way it does, but it does also signify property
Right.
because of it at the same time. So we have to be careful on all those sides with it. Because what they'll do is that they'll still use it. It's no different than when the sister, last week or whatever, was in Oxnard. And she was able to freeze the policy enforcer for a second when she said, I don't have to tell you my name. But then she showed that she didn't know the
Know
law.
who she was, because you said name.
Right, and then on top of that, she said, I'm gonna call someone to make sure. And so then that escalated just, but he froze for a second. And then he proceeded because he could tell that within further testing, she didn't know. And so that becomes a whole nother issue, of course at that moment. So we'll take the break and then we'll come back when everyone's ready and we'll get into the second portion of it. All right?
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm giving.
You want to stop the tape?
Yes.
Okay, you make an extra cut.